What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Live Ready Fitness podcast, where we are going to talk about losing weight and toning up. This seems to be something that we hear a lot of. Heidi, tell me about it. What you're hearing?
Yeah, I think just in recent consults, I can say this with full honesty, 100% of the consults that I have, at least the female consults, I ask them what brings them in, and their response is, I want to lose weight and tone up 100% of the time.
Yeah. So what do you feel like they're trying to, what do you feel like they're trying to do? Like, what are they telling you?
Yeah, I think they're trying to, change their body shape. I think they do want to lose fat, but I think that there's also, they're looking for, definition as well. They want to look different, not just lose weight.
Yeah. And when they come to you, what are they usually doing already?
A lot of times they are running, or I get a lot of walking, under eating, and they'll go to the gym sometimes, but there's a lot of, I don't know what I'm doing at the gym, so I don't like it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that, guys. So losing weight and toning up, they're generally two different things. A lot of the time when somebody comes in, they're pretty new, and maybe you're listening to this and you're pretty new, you haven't started your fitness journey yet. You're the only group that can really lose weight and tone up at the same time. And the reason for that is because, generally speaking, toning up requires you to have muscle. When we think of toning up, we think of someone who you're going to look at and you're going to know that that person is hitting the gym. This will be somebody who, like, when when you put clothes on, like for females, if you put a skin tight dress on, like, you'll see the form figure. For guys, if they wear jeans, like, you can tell that they have a noticeable, like, their butt is going to come out a little more. Maybe they don't need a belt to hold their jeans up. Mm-hmm. Like, those are going to be the people that have a tone, right? And in order to have that, you've got to have muscle. And generally speaking, when you need to put on muscle, you have to eat more food, right? You have to fuel the muscle when you're building it. Now, in order to lose weight, it's the opposite, right? Losing weight, you need to go into a caloric deficit for the most part. Now, how you get there is up to you. You can do that through food. You can do that through fitness, where you're burning off more calories than you're putting in. But when you do that, you will inevitably lose a little bit of muscle because you're not fueling the muscle from growing.
Right.
Okay. But there is, again, the people that are just starting, that are maybe like, you haven't worked out in 10, 15 years, if you never worked out in your life, that you're going to be able to see both, right? If we change the quality of food, if they eat better food and they just start to work out in general, they're going to start to see muscle build, and they're going to start to see weight come off, because their body has to adapt in some way to what they're doing in order for that to happen. So their body's going to lose the weight, but also start to put on a little bit of muscle, because honestly, there just wasn't that much there to begin with. So their body's prioritizing it, kind of.
Yeah. So you would categorize the people who come in who have just been like running or walking or kind of going to Planet Fitness in that group.
Yeah, if it would depend. If you were going to Planet Fitness and you were really getting after it, you got in there and you knew what you were doing weightlifting and as a part of your workout and also cardio, then you may not fall into that group, just depending on how long you've been doing it and how long your body has been adapting to you putting up more weight and doing newer things. Mm-hmm. Somebody who's been running, again, it depends. Are they running and they still overweight? Then we may not lose weight, right? They don't need to lose weight if they're already kind of skinnier because of running. But definitely, like, putting on the muscle, they're going to have to eat more than they're used to, and they're going to have to add in that resistance training. So again, it's a toss up. And that's why everyone who comes in is going to be a little bit different, besides the people that have just not been working out, period.
Right. And they're going to see results a lot faster.
Right. They're going to be able to get that lose weight and tone up a lot quicker. But let me be clear that I know a lot of it, because I handle consults as well. A lot of the people that come in, they especially females, they have this thought of, well, I can do that and not necessarily have to do resistance training, which resistance training is just using weights, right? Not so, I mean, you can, You can do body weight stuff and that stuff, and you can get some tone, but you're never going to get that like real curvy type look that most of the females are looking for. Right. And the real like muscular build that guys looking for without adding some sort of like weight training besides body weight.
Right. Yeah. So kind of talking about that, we see a lot, and this is something else that I see in a lot of consults, is they all, like, some of the consults already have like loose skin, specifically with women. Again, they like lift up their arm and show me their tricep, and they're like, I need to get rid of this. And I think they're just assuming that that's fat, which sometimes it is, but more often than not, it's not.
Right.
And so, yeah, just kind of talk to us a little bit about like loose skin. Like, why does that happen?
Yeah, loose skin, what we see and we deal with the most is there could be a couple factors for loose skin. One of the main ones, especially when you're talking females, is have they had a kid, right? Has their body been in a position where their skin has legitimately had to stretch a lot? And sometimes it just doesn't go back to the way it's supposed to be, especially when you're dealing with females who, maybe they dealt with like some diastasis, things like that. We tend to see the skin stay looser after that, but it could be a factor like that, something out of your control. And then when that's the case, it's a lot harder to fix that with even just working out, right? That might be something that they either just deal with the rest of their life, or you could go get a surgery or something like that, right?
Right. But I feel like that's maybe the more extreme.
Sure, right. Absolutely. Now, when it comes to like weight loss and things like that, generally we see loose skin when somebody diets but doesn't work out, right? And so what happens there is you're gonna lose weight, absolutely, right? You're eating the right amounts of food. You're gonna start to see the scale go down, but remember, you're not building any muscle, right? And so you were bigger. Your skin was there to fill out. Your skin is there and covering up the fat. And then you lost all the fat, but you didn't replace it with some muscle. Right. Right. And you can't turn fat into muscle. It doesn't work like that. Like you have to lose the fat. Yeah. You have to lose the fat and then start to build that muscle. So if you just diet and you don't put muscle there to replace some of that mass that you're losing, then that's where you start to see that really loose skin. And that's why a lot of the times when you see somebody who has gone through transformation where they're bigger, and they have worked out, right? They've gone to a functional fitness gym, the Planet Fitness is, they've dieted the right way, they've done those things. They look great, right? Like you see the six pack, they're big or they're curvy or whatever the case is. And then you see somebody who does like Atkins diet or the Optavia stuff, where they're just in this massive caloric deficit, so much so that they can't even work out because they don't have energy to do it. Right. And then they lost weight, but they still don't look right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of like, they're not even happy with the way they look. And that's when they step foot in here and they're like, how do I get rid of all this stuff? So generally the extra and excess skin is going to be from dieting and not working out. Yeah.
So then talk about the difference between skinny versus lean. Because again, I think like so many women want to be skinny, or they say that they do, or they think that they want to be skinny. They're not really sure what lean even is. Yeah.
We actually had this conversation with one of my now clients, I think Monday, but she said to me, I want to be skinny. And I was like, do you want to be skinny though? Right. Because skinny, if someone came up to me and said I look skinny, I would almost take offense to it.
I would.
Right. Like, now granted, most people assume that when someone is lean, when they're muscular, when they lost a bunch of weight, that telling them they look skinny is a compliment, which, you take it that way because that's what most people want.
If someone called me skinny, I'd be like, okay. If someone called me fat, I'd cry. So.
Right. Yeah, generally skinny is more accepted. But what we look for as people who work out and things like that, or if you know someone's working out, is they want to be seen as lean. And the difference there is that, think of like a runner, someone who runs like long marathon type events. They're generally going to be skinny, right? They don't have a bunch of muscle on them. They're going to be bony, a little bit lighter. Not that they're not, like, their cardiovascular is fantastic.
Right.
Not that they're not in shape, right? But they're going to lack the muscular type build. They're not going to necessarily fill out a shirt unless they're a marathon runner that happens to do like functional fitness and stuff too, right? So skinny is going to be the person with looser skin that's doing a lot of cardio or is maybe just dieting, and they just lost a whole bunch of weight. But again, their body doesn't necessarily look like the shape that even they want, or that you're going to see that muscular type build. Where lean is going to be that person that put on the muscle and then leaned out by maybe going into a small caloric deficit, and the muscles pop a little bit more. Right.
Yeah, that's the person who really, like, you can tell that they work out.
Right. Which an extreme version would be like a bodybuilder, right? Like a bodybuilder is extremely lean. You see every little like striation in the muscle and everything. They're extremely lean. Like, that's their sport. Where a runner, not necessarily, they're just skinny. You're not seeing muscle on them. You might see bone on them,
right?
But you're not going to see necessarily muscle. And yeah, it's just a different look. And it's again, if you call somebody skinny that is lean, it's fine. But just know that, like,
they're really be offended.
Yeah, there's a difference there. If someone comes to me and just like, I just want to be skinny, my first thing is like, are you okay with like muscle going on? Like, you have to be okay
and
with
loose
that,
skin,
right?
And how you feel,
right? Exactly.
I think this is kind of a common saying, but the diet really is 80% of your weight loss. So if that is true, then why even work out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the answer there is how do you want to feel? The working out is, can it help you lose weight and get to your, absolutely, right?
And
because
like accelerate weight loss.
Right, it's going to accelerate. A big portion of that is because when you work out, you're burning extra calories, right? So you can create some form of caloric deficit as long as you're not overeating, right, in working out, which is why, like, you see people who work out 3 to 4 hours, they're eating 4,000 or 5,000 calories. They may still be in a caloric deficit just because of the amount that they work out.
Right.
Now, again, going a little bit back to the skinny versus lean, a person who is just dieting is going to lose weight. They're gonna get healthier, no doubt, right? Their markers like your blood pressure, all those things are going to get better just by changing your diet, the quality of food that you're eating, all of that stuff. However, that person who maybe still looks great, is healthy on the inside, is still going to struggle with running a couple 100 meters,
right,
playing around with their kids. Right. They still might deal with either the chances for like arthritis or joint pain or all of that stuff,
right,
is going to be a lot higher because of the fact that they're not doing movements to support muscle growth and to support them feeling better. Right. So think of the working out as that's there just so that you could, I think of it as like, can I be at the weight I want to be, or can I get the look that I want with minimal exercise and dieting? Sure. Yeah. Right. But those days where, like an example is, there was one time where I had to climb up Stone Mountain, and I was with my daughter, and we got to the last quarter of the mountain, and it's pretty steep. Right. Okay. And my daughter was like 7, maybe 6. And she got tired, and she's like, yeah, I do not want to walk this anymore. Right. And that was like, I just started functional fitness, I think I was doing it for like 6 to 7 months. And I picked up my daughter and I put her on my shoulders and I walked her up the mountain. Right. And there was really no problem. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it wasn't like the easiest thing ever, but there was no problem. And then another scenario is we went to Disneyland, same thing. I didn't want to spend $100 on a rental stroller because she thinks she's like 5 at the time. Okay. And maybe this is like 2 hours in, she doesn't want to walk anymore. She's like, oh my God, my legs are so tired. We're walking around. And so for the next 8 hours, she's on my shoulders.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so had I
not, you're a good dad.
Had I not been working out at that time, there is not a chance that would happen. Now, I could have ate right. I could have been doing all the right things, diet, but that's not helping me to be able to do things like that, to be able to enjoy life and make sure that no matter what the situation is, like you're ready for
You're
it.
strong enough to do functional things.
Right, assuming you're doing functional fitness, but
Well, maybe a different word, but yeah, you're strong enough to do like everyday activities.
right. That's yeah. It's just there for you. Like fitness is there so you can enjoy your life, even if if the diet is doing great, you're feeling great, you look great, but now you can barely move.
Right.
Like who wants to do that?
I mean, yeah, you mentioned like having arthritis. Like diet doesn't fix arthritis.
Right.
Or other joint issues.
Yeah, it can help.
Right.
It can
you can get rid of inflammation,
right.
things like that, but you need to be moving and strengthening the muscles around the joints and strengthening the joints to
absolutely
be able to function long term.
Yeah. 100%, I agree. And so that's why when people come in to the gym, that's the way we guide them. We always start with diet, but it's a diet based on what their need is.
Right.
Are they under eating, overeating? Is it food quality, that kind of stuff? Always going to start with diet. And then just depending on where they are they coming in 3 times a week? Are they starting with just body weight? Because sometimes the body weight is enough resistance training to facilitate some muscle build
for a time.
Right. And eventually it's not. And then you have to start to incorporate weights. And it doesn't need to be, you don't need to be deadlifting twice your body weight or back squatting your body weight. You need some sort of resistance in order to get that toned build without necessarily all of the excess skin or even the roller coaster
right, the
dieting.
dieting roller coaster.
Yeah,
right.
Muscle's gonna help facilitate keeping you at the same level where you're gonna have more calorie burn. It's gonna be harder to get back to where you were if you built muscle the correct way.
Right, and I think it's almost even harder to do like a crash diet or a fad diet if you're working out because you can't sustain that for any amount of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially if you're someone who you've been coming frequently to the gym and you started to notice that like you're putting on muscle, you're feeling strong or things like that, and then trying to go on a crash diet and keeping the same type of thing that you're doing, it's just not going to work out. We talked in the beginning that the newer people can do both. Well, you get past a certain time, year or two, maybe sometimes 2 years where you can do that. But eventually you're going to get to a point where you got to pick one.
Yep.
You got to either go on a diet, take a little bit of hit, maybe even take a little bit of a step back on how much working out you're doing, lose the weight, the muscle comes out. And then when we want to put on more muscle, maybe we up the working out, we up the calories, and then we put on a little bit more muscle. We might see the fat move a little bit.
Right.
But then you go into a cut or you go into just your maintenance, which is just, hey, I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with working out. And I'm going to stay that way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Gosh, I feel like we are super passionate about this and could talk about it forever.
Yeah, for sure.
But we won't hold you hostage anymore. So check out all of our social media platforms, YouTube, our Facebook, Live Ready Fitness. Our Instagram channel is at Live Ready Fitness. We've got a ton of resources for you guys, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode.
Absolutely, guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you know someone who will benefit from this, share it. We want this to grow, and we really appreciate your help. All right, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks.